Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. Yay!
Good morning, world. Good evening, world. Wherever you are, welcome to our show, Mr. Shipman's class. This is Prudence Williams with you here today, and I have a special guest with me, Dr. Cheryl Anderson. She is the author of a new, powerful children's book called Guns, Guns, Guns. Welcome, Dr. Anderson. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Oh, you know you're welcome. Well, Dr. Shipman is the publisher of your book. And so rather than having the publisher interview the author, he brought me in and asked me to interview you. And I'm very excited about being able to interview you today. And so the title of your book, like I said before, is Guns, Guns, Guns. But it is a children's book. As a parent myself, when I first heard the title, I was a little put off. Can you tell us how you came with that name and why that name is important to the book?
Years ago, a friend of mine, Delia Jones, took her grandson to the public library to look for a book on gun safety. And she couldn't find one there. So after that, we talked about it, and she actually told me of the incident. And she said, we need to have something. She said, so maybe one day you should do something like that. And I sort of brushed it off. But watching the news, that I actually don't like to watch because it always has mounds of horror stories on it, I began to notice that more and more of the reports dealt with small children firing guns, and people were being hurt, either killed or injured in a terrible way. And it bothered me. So one day I was just kind of sitting down, not even thinking about the situation, but the words just came, which doesn't happen often for me, but this particular time it did. And the title came with it, Guns, Guns, Guns. They're everywhere. Adults have them. They fuss about whether or not they should have them. It's a power struggle. And you have all the small children that are all, underneath that struggle being affected by their decision making. And so with me being an educator, having written my dissertation on the need for psychological services, having learned that you have to teach expected behaviors, it was natural for me. In order to prevent it, you're going to have to teach the children what to do when they are in the presence of a gun.
Wow, this morning on the news, just today, in the Atlanta area, a 4-year-old found a gun and shot another child. And so what you're saying is very, very true. And so if I heard you correctly, you're saying you named this book Guns, Guns, Guns because there's no other way to say what our society is focused on.
Yes.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Yes.
We spend a lot of times focusing on arguing about using guns. Was there anything else? Was there perhaps a personal connection with a gun accident for yourself?
It wasn't necessarily a connection because even though I do have a gun violent incident in my life, when I started hearing about the different accidents with the children, my heart just went out to them. And maybe because of that, when I was 6 years old, my father was murdered. He took a gunshot to the chest and didn't recover. So I grew up, my siblings and I, without a dad because, someone pointed a gun at him, fired it, and it said pow, pow, and he did not get up for us. It was nothing funny. It was no game. He was gone, and we lived our entire lives without him. So, yes, it's serious to me, and it's so heartbreaking when you have to hear different things like that, one after another. And it's not happening sometimes now for us. It's all the time. It's something on the news every single week about a child and a gun.
Or both,
Yes.
sometimes they're not even individualized. So I'm a teacher too, as the audience who's listening knows, and I will have to say I agree that in order for us to change behaviors, we have to teach behaviors. I know that whether parents recognize it or not, whether they want to admit it or not, our society teaches that guns are just fine. They are on TVs. And I have a son, so I'm very aware that little boys, they can fashion a gun out of anything. A stick, a watch, they will turn it into a gun. And I also know that because our society, our movies, our cartoons, everything is guns are just commonplace. So I understand and I do agree, and I'm so glad that you wrote this book. And your illustrator is Patrick Carlson. Patrick is a wonderful illustrator.
He recommended him. Actually, he reached out and he was instrumental in getting all of the illustrations done. But I absolutely love Patrick's work.
It's
love
pretty.
it. Yes.
It's very pretty. Now let's talk about Dr. Cheryl Anderson just a little bit. So right now, what is your career? You said you were an educator. Are you in the classroom?
No. I have, I think I've been around about 34 years now. I started off in an elementary school, and I've worked in middle school, high school, and even worked at the district level. And when I finished school, my intent was not to be in the classroom. Teaching just never crossed my mind. But I have a teacher from Hooper Alexander in DeKalb County, a Dr. Lonnie Edwards. They found me right after I finished college. We bumped into one another in Decatur. And he says, "What are you doing now?" And I said, "Well, I'm just looking for a job." He said, "Well, I tell you what, come on and work with me until you find something." And I did. And that was in 1984.
And you still trying to find another job. You never got out of it. Well, thank goodness.
No, I got in and got involved, and I had to stay. I didn't really have much of a choice.
It's a good job. It's a good career. When you find that you love it, it's good. All right, Dr. Anderson. Where did you graduate from college? All your degrees.
I graduated from Mercer University.
Hey.
I attended the Atlanta campus in 1983. I received a master's in library and information science from Clark Atlanta. In between those two, I had to get a teaching certification, so I did the teaching program at Brenau University using the Atlanta and the Gainesville campus. And then I got the PhD in K-12 leadership from Capella University.
Okay, very extensive educational background. Have you ever worked with publishing or any other authoring of any other books?
No, this is my very first time.
What about being in the publishing industry at all? Have you voiceovered or anything?
Not until I met Dr. Shipman.
And you are the voice of Dr. Shipman's Kindergarten Chronicles.
Yes.
One last question. As you look around, are there any other topics that you think in your heart need to be written for children to help them understand correct behaviors or to help them learn better behaviors?
It is definitely close to my heart. I do honestly believe that you have to teach what you expect. And so I have some ideas. So maybe?
Good. Well, we hope to hear from you again. I have read the book, and it is good. I highly recommend it. Again, I'm Prudence Williams. I'm here today with Dr. Cheryl Anderson, and her book is a gun safety book entitled Guns, Guns, Guns for Children and Parents. You can find the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and in Audible. Also, check her out on TerrenceShipman.com. TerrenceShipman.com, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. And it used to be Google Plus, but they have since gone away, and there's no more Google Plus. So anyway, so your book will be released on what day?
May 7th.
May 7th, 2019. So please, everyone, reach out, look for it, go look at an excerpt from it in Amazon, and of course, always buy it. It will be digital and hard copy and soft copy. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. We sure do appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class. Mr. Shipman's class, Mr. Shipman's class.